So over the last couple weeks, we've been having a lot of news dropping about Silent Hill F on account of different reviewers and outlet sources getting to play the first 5 hours of the game. There have been a lot of things said and a lot of stuff shown that I kind of just wanted to voice an opinion on. First of all, let me get the positives out of the way right now. This game looks absolutely gorgeous. The environments are incredibly claustrophobic, which adds to the eeriness of it all. The monster designs are spectacular. Every single one of them that we've seen so far is just utterly creepy and bizarre, and I'm really hoping that they're not showing everything up front. Obviously they're not, because everything we've seen has only been within the first 5 hours of the game, and I admit that I was initially kind of skeptical in regards to the change of the other worlds. The metal rust and blood stylings of the classic Silent Hill games is iconic for a reason, but I definitely think that I've grown to really like this new flowery aesthetic they're going for, because it feels, while it doesn't feel as scary, it definitely feels more unnerving and unworldly, and I think overall it does look pretty good. Another good thing about the game that I like, they're taking a huge gamble by not giving us any kind of guns, and I'm really hoping that it pays off, especially with the destructible weapons, which I'll talk about here in a little bit. I feel like not having a way to deal with certain enemies at a distance will come in handy for making the tension incredibly high, because one bad mistake can cause a just absolute snowball effect of you getting your ass handed to you by some of these monsters. That's kind of all the positives things that I have to say right now. Let's dive into some of the more criticisms that I've been seeing thrown around, and let's start with the word Souls-like. So if you don't know, the director of the game has stated in an interview that they wanted to make the boss fights a little bit more challenging because of the rising popularity of difficult action-based games. And that has obviously resulted in various reviewers and review outlets using the word Souls-like. Frankly, this word has lost any and all meaning in a review context from anyone who doesn't actually know what the fuck a Souls-like is, so I don't take this at all. I don't take this as a criticism or anything like that. These reviewers don't know what they're talking about anymore, and I think we've all learned over the last 10-ish years to just kind of stop trusting big company reviewers like that. Personally, I don't really take the word of any reviewer as gospel, because a lot of the times they're just wrong. There's some good games that have gotten really bad scores in the past, and there has been obvious evidence that these people just don't know how to play basic-ass video games. So when they throw around the word Souls-like, they really just mean it's a hard game. I don't mind the extra challenge. Obviously, video games are inherently a sort of challenging medium, and the thing that I'm most curious about is how the boss fights are actually going to be handled, because the boss fights in the Silent Hill 2 remake are actually really good, but they're also built off of Silent Hill 2, which didn't inherently have super diverse and complex boss fights in the way we have a lot now. From what little bit we've seen of the first boss, it does look very interesting, and obviously there's got to be some level of challenge to this game for the more hardcore players, but I also don't hate the idea of these bosses being hard, because oftentimes in Silent Hill these bosses are meant to represent a larger trauma that the protagonist is going through, or someone close to the protagonist is going through. And overcoming trauma is not easy, so these boss fights should not be easy either. But that does lead me into a slight criticism I've been seeing floating around, and after watching gameplay, I do have to agree with it myself. The enemies definitely need to react to being hit. Watching the main character wail on an enemy and just getting no reaction is really, really bad and obnoxious. It makes the game look weird and out of place, and also makes it completely unsafe for the player as well, because you don't know if these enemies are hyper armoring, or if they're in the middle of an attack animation or not, if they're just not reacting. The Silent Hill 2 remake has this down pretty well, because it can easily see the enemies reacting to your hits, to your gunshots. The nurses actually fight you if you try to come up on them with melee. Another thing too I was a little bit worried about was the dodge mechanic, but after giving it some time to settle in my brain and really think about it, I do kind of accept that, these are still video games. Silent Hill could work as a book or like a movie or something, but inherently these are video games and they need to be enjoyable to play, especially in today's day and age, because otherwise it's not gonna sell as well. And we definitely want this game to sell well because we want Konami to remember that there is incentive to bring back Silent Hill. In the same way we want Castlevania to come back, and that's why people have been buying up the collections of Castlevania really good. I will say though, I think the dodge in this game might be just a little bit too video gamey for my personal opinion. From what little bit I've seen of it, there's also like a flurry slash style mechanic from what I've heard from a couple review outlets, where if you perfectly dodge the attack, it'll like slow down time on the enemy and you can get a couple hits in. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't think it would kill the tension too badly. I just don't feel like we should be playing a character with like combat level skills of Dante when we're up against weird hyper psychological monsters that want to kill us. The next point I'm going to discuss is the breakable weapons. This was another point that many people found contentious. I don't dislike it because it will create a lot of pretty impressive tension when you're in the middle of a fight with an enemy and then all of a sudden your weapon breaks and now you have to run for your freaking life because you have no way to defend yourself. It also gives an incentive to explore because now you find not only health drinks and health syringes or whatever they're going to be in this game, but you're also able to, they've said you're going to be able to find stuff to fix your weapons, replacement weapons, various different kinds of weapons. So I'm wondering if different weapons will have like different mechanics tied to them. Maybe certain weapons will take longer to swing but do heavier damage. It looks like the standard steel pipe is probably going to be the best weapon overall, but I don't know. That's just kind of what they show off in the gameplay a lot. I'm very curious to see the other worlds though, because I do see, obviously you've seen the clip of her walking around with the Naginata, and they do say that that is like exclusive to the other worlds, which are now designed to look like the Japanese Shinto shrines. So I'm very curious as to where that's going to go. Now I want to take a few minutes to just discuss my overall thoughts and hopes for the game. Obviously, I've already expressed that I think the graphic quality is beautiful. I believe they've said in a couple interviews that the entire city will be explorable at some point in the game, so I'm very excited for that. I hope it's a little bit less linear than what the Silent Hill 2 remake feels like, but maybe not quite as open as the classic games, because having a big open city to explore does kind of feel like you're getting lost and running in circles if you don't already know where to go. Another thing too I would like to discuss is they have said that they're going to stick more with the J-horror roots. And while I don't have a massive knowledge of like Japanese horror and whatnot, I do understand that one of the key things in a lot of J-horror is pretty much tradition raging against modern stylings and modern things happening. So I'm curious as to what that's going to entail for this game. Like what exactly is... Obviously we see a lot of the Shinto shrines and stuff feel very classical Japanese. So I'm wondering what the modern styling will mean for this game to have it be so aggressively angry. Another thing too is they're being pretty coy as to what the F stands for. You know, I don't think I've seen any real theories yet about what the F stands for. The F could stand for Silent Hill Fresh Start. For all I know, F is for friends who do stuff together. The Silent Hill F could stand for fuck is that damn thing over there. I'm curious as to what the F's going to stand for. Obviously, it's kind of a very weird thing to just slap on the end of a title without any sort of inclination to explain it. There's also been a few other things I've seen about like potential plot leaks or stuff that's been shown that we haven't seen yet. Like allegedly there's supposed to be like a sister for the main character who hasn't been shown off in any of the trailers yet, but some people have seen in like secret releases or whatever. I don't know anything about that yet. Overall though, I just hope that this game is a massive return to form for Silent Hill. I want it to be scary as hell. I want it to really get under my skin. I want it to get in my mind and make me think, and I want it to be a new evolution of the game. Obviously, it is a new evolution of the game, setting it in Japan rather than the United States. Not having any guns is a huge step in a interesting direction. That's not quite what I mean. Like, Silent Hill, story-wise, I'm going to look at only the first 4 games here. It always revolved around the town and the cult. Sure, the cult wasn't a big factor in Silent Hill 2, but Silent Hill 1, 3, and 4 absolutely were. The cult was an essential part of the story. So I'm wondering how they're going to take this whole new styling, this whole new setting, and this whole new story direction forward. Are we going to see more games set in Japan in the Silent Hill universe, or is this going to be like a testing to see if Silent Hill can still sell, and then we're going to see a return to Silent Hill the town at some point? And also, I wonder as well if there's going to be any things like theming or whatnot from Silent Hills, the canceled Silent Hills game, being recycled into this. We know from different leaks and stuff we've gotten over the years, that game was meant to explore like alternate realities and confirm a bunch of the multiversal stuff that's supposed to be going on in Silent Hill, which has been a big theory in the fan base for decades at this point. So I'm just legitimately curious where they're going to take this and how well it's going to do. I have the utmost faith in this game to deliver a very satisfying and very fun game, a very scary game. I'm hoping that all the monsters we've seen so far aren't going to be the only monsters in the game, because I really do want them to keep some things quiet, keep some things as a surprise for your first time players. I can't wait for this game to be in my hands, because I'm going to have so much fun finally getting to play it. And with that said, I'll see you guys in the next video.